Hello viewers, Tim Poole here, editor of Gambling Insider, and I'm with a special guest today, Dr. Aruna Sharma, an economist and policy advisor. Dr. Aruna, thanks for joining us.
Right, my pleasure. Please go ahead.
Well, I'm looking forward to talking to you about the Indian gaming market, and when we say the Indian gaming market, that means many different parts of the Indian gaming market. But to start with, can you talk us through your career and how you got to the stage now where you are a voice when it comes to Indian gaming?
It goes like this. I have been working on the IT quite a lot, especially from the governance point of view. And in that, deepening digital payments or, the database and, direct payment into the accounts of the welfare beneficiaries. So all those areas I have been working on. And then from there, it graduated to intermediaries. So when you are looking at the intermediaries, the e-commerce was the first one we were handling, and then the crypto. And then the publisher's issue, the publisher's payment. And that is where then the gaming stepped in, because gaming is the entire game of intermediaries, where, you have the platform on which they do, and the developer, and then, of course, the clients. And there were a lot of small irritant points as far as the policy making is concerned. So that's how I deep dived into the issue.
Mm-hmm. If I could start with a broad question. I think how this will probably pan out is we'll start broad and we'll get more specific later on. But if I were to ask you what the potential is of gaming and iGaming, online gaming in India in 2024, because we always talk about the potential of India, but until we have full regulations, it's always still going to be just that potential. But what can we expect in 2024?
I'll put it this way. One thing is the smartphones populating is increasing day by day. So against the 100,000 phones, 60% are now the smartphones. So the moment you have an access for the smartphones, the gaming steps in. So whether they are unpaid games or the paid games. So you can look at the potential that 60% of 100 crores, what we can say in the Indian denomination, own the smartphone. So with that kind of a penetration, there is a huge user base. That is number one. Second thing is that with the IT strength which India has got, the developers are also coming in a very big way, and lots of developments are taking place. Now the question comes is two kinds of positioning. India being a country where there is a lot of difference among the earnings, the government has to be a little bit moral policing has to be done. And that is the worry of the government on 3-4 points of view. One point of view is that people should not become addicts, then parenting, that under 18 do not get hooked to the gaming instead of their studies and other policies. Then from the regulatory point of view, the fear of whether gaming becomes a platform for money laundering or whether it is not following it. So with these concerns, the policy making of the government is working. Now iGaming is pretty new, it's only a couple of years old. So what you had before in the iGaming, you had suddenly the iGaming flooding into the market, and before that India had a Gambling Act of 1857 where there used to be physical gaming.
Yeah, that's quite some time ago.
Yeah, that's true. Where you get a license and a place, and the place is defined, it is encircled. So that was where the rule positioning was. Now sudden shift into the electronic media, which is in the handset of everybody, it required a different set of principles. So wherever what India has gone in for is because of the moral concerns that people should not become addicts. In India, there is a distinguishing factor between the game of chance and game of skill.
Yes.
Right. And this was practiced right from taxation, indirect taxation, where you had a different percentage of GST. You had 18% for the game of skill, and 28% where it's considered to be a game of chance, to discourage game of chance more. Now with this distinguishing factor, when it shifted into iGaming, it is very important to have the parameters by which to distinguish the two. You must understand that what you very correctly said in the beginning, that in India, it's not only the center, it's also the federal states rules which are a problem. So the game of chance, which is controlled by the Gambling Act, it is the authority of the federal states, right? What the Ministry of Information Technology did was, for game of skill, they formulated a central rule so that it is uniform all over the country. And that is where the parameters are being set to what are the distinguishing factors. And for that, they have created self-regulatory organizations. So now we have 3 self-regulatory organizations of the gaming federations who have come up with a code of conduct among themselves. So it's like a peer group control. And then, of course, government will come with the self-regulatory board. That is not yet formulated, but that is where it stands on the legal position. And I've told you on the taxation position. And these are the main, what I'll say, points of concern for the investor.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and there's no simple right answer to any of these. And if I were to just maybe put out there, let's say, online sports betting, if I were to ask, when could online sports betting be regulated across India? Are we talking a long time away?
Okay. If the word betting is there, my answer is no.
Mm-hmm. And is that something you see never?
If it's a payment games is there, my answer is yes. There is a difference.
Yeah.
The game of chance in the name of betting, no. Absolutely no. It will not be encouraged for quite some time. So you can take a horizon for 5 years easily. But if you look at it as a game of skill, which is a paid games, where people put the money and they play. So whether it's a card game or a board game or horse racing on the iGaming platform, that all comes under game of skill.
And maybe fantasy sports as well?
Even fantasy sports.
Mm-hmm.
So they all come under the game of skill because they follow the sports regulation. And if you are understanding it better and you have acquired more skills of strategizing, of combining with your co-partners or moving ahead with it, your chances of winning are much more than mine, where I may not be that skilled. So skill is the deciding factor between the winner and the loser. And therefore for that, the time horizon is very short. It is going to come soon. You must have seen that there was a ripple because of the indirect taxation. And it was from the retrospective effect, and it was for the entire money on table. So that has created a ripple, but the courts have stepped in, and they have stayed it. So the resultant and all the cases of the different courts are now combined with the Supreme Court. So that resolution should come out fast in 24 itself. There should not be a problem on that issue. But as far as the parameters are concerned, the ministry is working on it, and that should also come up post-elections in 24, irrespective of who the winner is. This is a problem on table, which is to be decided. The entire homework is done. It is only to be issued. So that is also going to happen. You must have seen the gaming industry is under self-regulation is maturing. So they are also moving ahead and becoming. But here I like to say one thing, the gaming industry should also position themselves as, like I always say, it can be an instrument for a country like India for bridging the digital divide. It can also be an instrument to acquire the skills in the education point of view. So gaming is not entertainment. Gaming is skill honing. So you hone up your skills. So whether you're playing cards or whether you're racing or fantasy games or whatever, you're honing your skills every time you play. Now that can shift into a better learning processes for even your regular learning and the way you go. So that is what is going to make a difference. So that positioning of gaming is a must. And second thing which I advise to the gamers who come there, to have a separate account. The one mistake they did was all money which was coming, that is their own fees for maintaining a platform or innovation of gaming to the developers, as well as the money of the players, they're putting in the same account. What is important is money of the players you should put in the escrow account, because that's a float. The money comes and it goes to the winner where you do the direct taxation. So this kind of a confusion will never appear where you are hitting them with a indirect taxation for the entire amount. So that is very important. So 24 is very bright. And if you look at the user point of view, the developer's point of view, definitely all these clouds will get cleaned up in 2024. And you may find a much understandable scenario which will be very friendly to the innovative and the modernization of the gaming techniques.
It's a very different market from, probably most gambling gaming market. Certainly here in the UK, it's quite unique hearing this kind of setup. But if the industry is to grow in India, and as you say, the clouds are sort of moving away, is it a case of maybe a company that has online gaming, an online casino in other markets, just developing a new platform that's basically skill-based for India?
Yes, because, this distinction, it is going to remain at least for 4 to 5 years. I'm very clear about it. Because, till that maturing happens, and what is being insisted upon is also a correct way of advertising. You're not giving false hopes. The kind of advertisement, oh, I won so much of money and I purchased a car. That kind of a thing is not something which will be encouraged there. So that has to be controlled. You have to educate, you have to follow the norms, you have to have a transparency, and of course the concerns of money laundering and other things has to be there. I mean, there is no question of any compromise on that issue.
Yeah. So if we were to sum it up to close in a couple of phrases, would it be fair to say some bright spots, but certainly that the makeup of the system, this focus on skill-based, that isn't changing anytime soon?
No. This distinguishing and the parameters are very convenient, The game of skill is something where it is practice which is going to make a difference. The knowledge is going to make a difference. The synergy makes a difference. Then it can be lab tested also, right? There has been statistical evidences we have brought forward which are distinguishing factors. So it is not just impressionist, it is also a mathematical calculations, which will be the distinguishing factor. So in the sense, there will be quite a lot of transparency, and you will be surprised to know many games fall under the game of skill. So majority of them fall under the game of skill. So in the sense, the scenario is not bad. You have to be always conscious on that thin line that you're not crossing to game of chance. And that caution the developers will have to take, which is not in the rest of the world. But for Indian market, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's a case of adapting, but with the size of the market, it's probably worth making that adaptation.
Absolutely. That's what I told you first about the smartphones.
Yeah.
That is right, which is not related to the development of gaming, because the market is huge and you have IT savvy people who can be great developers and who can create a lot of good games. That is also very important.
Well, fantastic. Dr. Aruna, thank you very much for your time, and it's been a pleasure speaking to you about Indian gaming.
Right. Pleasure is all mine.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
To our viewers, thanks for listening.